All right, what's up, A to Z Sports Postgame after Titans Week 4 beatdown in Houston. They lose 26-0, allowing technically allowing 26 unanswered after 20 additional points tacked on at half or after half. I'm this dysfunctional to start this show as the Titans are. It was 6-0 at half. They allowed 20 additional points tacked on after half in, fair to say, maybe the least inspiring half of football for the Titans. A steep competition for that of the halves that they've played, but I'd say that second half against the Texans was as uninspiring as they come. At least last week against the Colts, the offense was moving the ball in the second half, and the defense looked pitiful. In this half, the defense, the dam broke, and it completely fell apart. The offense continued to not be able to move the ball, and this Titans team is adrift, without a sail, without a paddle, without any light at the end of the tunnel. Even the previous lights at the end of the tunnel, the rookies and Cam Ward and the special teams, even those things fall flat today in what should have been not an easy matchup for them, but it was a battle of two winless teams. Should have been a game in which they showed some fight. And so we're going to talk in this post-game show about what all this means, where they go from here, what is going to happen this week, what needs to happen this week, if certain things happen this week, what they'll actually change, and whether or not that will be nothing or something. A lot to dive into here on the post-game show. I'm joined by JT here live at the Landshark Bar and Grill on the second floor of the Margaritaville Broadway bar down here on Broadway in downtown Nashville. Still not too late for you to come out and join us as soon as we're done with this show. JT and I will be hanging out for the later games and some more entertaining football. So if you want to swing by, come on down. They have got great deals on Miller Lite and Traveler Whiskey, two fantastic sponsors here at the Landshark Bar and Grill. We have enjoyed our time. Everything about being here has been fantastic, besides the thing that the Titans have given for us to look up at the screen on. So JT, let me go ahead and shout out our sponsors here before we dive into some of this conversation. Shout out to our friends at X Golf in Nashville, Murfreesboro, Hermitage, and Franklin, the home of indoor golf in Middle Tennessee. X Golf, play, train, entertain, playxgolf.com. BTA Sports, use code ATOZ Sports when you download the BTA Sports app to get the full season pass for $99 plus a 14-day free trial, only available through September. So you have 3 days left to get this deal. Use that code or in the link in the description below. Sign up for BTA Sports. Botero Carts, life is short. Buy a golf cart with 2 locations to serve you, Columbia and Gallatin, BoteroCarts.com. Lipscomb University Sports Analytics program is turning sports fans into data-driven decision makers in the exciting world of professional athletics. And the Barrel Social Club, the Kentucky Poker Open, returns to the Barrel Social Club in October. TheBarrelSocialClub.com is where you can go for more information. JT, tell the folks what they need to do here at the top of the show to help us out, and then feel free to vent about what you just saw.
Yeah, well, there are many things that went on in this game, none of them good whatsoever. I think the only positive is that the team came out mostly healthy out of this game, if that's even something that you can count as a victory. But hey, this is going to be a tough show. I know myself, I did not enjoy watching that game.
Nobody did.
So you know what we need to do? We all need to like the show together. We need to make sure we are subscribed to the A to Z Sports YouTube channel and make sure we are liking the Facebook page as well, so that, you can come to all these vent sessions that I'm sure we're going to have over the next...
It's not our fault, like the show.
15 games. Yes, it's not our fault. Show us that you recognize that by hitting the like button. You said that this is a team that is adrift, a team that has no paddle. I would argue that this is a team in which the boat has sunk and they are at the bottom of the ocean. There's
Davy
no
Jones
other,
locker for this team.
They are in Davy Jones locker.
Yeah.
And there's no other way to put it than this team in 4 games has regressed to the point where no one on this team is playing competitive football. You thought, we talked about this earlier at the halftime show, you thought that the special teams at least could play some competitive football. We saw that over the last 2 weeks. Joey Sly misses both of his opportunities. There continues to be special teams penalties by 7th round former rookies, or draft picks, I should say.
That shouldn't be on the team because they're
not
not good at football.
Chimere Dike, even on that last one, loses the punt in the lights and keeps the Titans in their own territory before the 10-yard line with about 45, 50 seconds left. There's just nothing going on that is good for this team right now. This team has continued to trend in the wrong direction every single week, and I think where that leads the conversation, I feel like, at this point. It's hard not to say that Brian Callahan has any more good grace left. From the team that he's putting out there, you saw the change in Bo Callahan. Bo Hardigree out there with the play calling did not do anything. If anything, it looked worse than it has over the past 3 weeks. There's nothing that's going right with this team. I'm very interested to see the locker room aspect. We know, like last week, a lot of these guys left the locker room before the media were even allowed to talk to them. We'll see how that turns out today. If that continues to be the trend, it's hard to not feel like this team just has given up.
Yeah, I just on days like today receive a lot of texts during the game and after the game. I just received a text that I will leave unattributed. But what a loser team, LOL. I can't even wrap my head around what we all just witnessed. Is a good way of summing up my feelings on that. And, I'm afraid we were right about the change in play calling not having much at all of an impact. I wrote an article yesterday that was about what would have to happen this weekend, today, for Brian Callahan's job to actually be in jeopardy this upcoming week. And it basically summarized what Austin and I on the Friday show talked about when it comes to the desires of this ownership and executive leadership group for continuity. And if the idea is Callahan has to go, wanting to at least be able to get to later in the season or ideally after the season for that to happen, because it really does not do anybody any good for it to happen in season, let alone in September, right? But in that article, I said, if it were to happen this week, it would be because of continued systematic failures with game management, which today there were not, or the team gets blanked, blown out, or otherwise thoroughly embarrassed offensively against the Texans. I had somebody this week who I'll leave unnamed mention to me, like, well, we can't go, say, in a broader conversation, well, we can't go up to Houston and, score no points. Well, you went out to Houston and you scored no points. And there were at least 6 points to be easily scored. So, the positive read is you'd have lost 26-6 and only lost by 20 if your kicker hadn't regressed down, I would say to earth, but down to the center of the earth, all the way to hell today. So is this going to be another week of firing talk? Yes, absolutely it's going to be. Would it be reasonable on paper, even though it is only now week 5, to fire the head coach based on what has happened so far this year in an 0-4 start? I have seen more questionable firing decisions made. Let's put it that way. Will it actually do anything for this football team? I remain thoroughly convinced that no serious person can look me in the eyes and say that in the short and intermediate term, as in this season, this roster, until they have a chance to upgrade this roster and or get a season plus worth of development into the bodies of the young guys, I remain unconvinced that firing anybody is going to positively change anything beyond maybe you get your 1 week coaching bump, which you sometimes get when the guys just lay it all out there for their interim guy and they empty the tanks, and it's like, wow, look at that, the Titans beat the lowly Cardinals by 1 point in week whatever it is, and then they go back to getting absolutely thrashed. So I'm at the point where I understand if the decision is made. I understand if the decision is not made. I am numb because I don't think that no, it's a different conversation when we get to the end of the year. I'm not saying, well, he should keep it, but right now he's striking. Absolutely not. No, I'm not advocating for things not to change by the end of this year. What I am saying is I am numb to the idea that any in-season change for this roster is going to materially change anything.
Yeah, and we're going to get to our one-word reactions of this game. To a point that you just, I think, hit on the head. It's like, can this do any worse for Cam Ward? I'm at the point, because you wrote an article earlier this preseason about the monster in the closet that they're afraid of, is that it would set back Cam Ward in his development.
Yep.
At this point, can you say there has been any development to set back if Callahan is fired at this point? I think that's a fair question that we can ask, because it has looked worse and worse every single week since the Denver game. And at some point, if Cam was playing at a very much higher level than he is right now, I think that would be a fair question. But at what point is it that there's no development happening to where you're not losing anything on that front if you do fire Brian Callahan?
Right. And that, honestly, that is I think that's the single most important thing to me in the conversation of firing, not firing, when the firing takes place in week 5 or week 8 or week 12 or at the end of the year, is what does the impact on Cam Ward look like? And we're going to get to our quarterback grades here in just a minute, so I don't want to dive too deep into that conversation just yet. But newsflash, through the first 3 weeks, we've been handing out a lot of C minuses. Today's grade, likely not to be another C minus, likely to change. So our resident bookkeepers out there in the post-game chat, look alive for that to look a little different this week. Let's go ahead and get to our one words, JT, because I don't have much more to spout off here at the top of the show. So let's ask the question: what's one word to describe this Titans win over the Texans? What is one word? One word to describe this Titans loss to the Texans. Send those in the chat. Let's make it interesting. Let's send some good one words in there, and we'll read some off here in a minute. While you guys are doing that, and while JT is sending that question in the comments, I want to tell you once again about our friends here at the Land Shark Bar and Grill. We have loved being here. I am, not to run away from you all, but I am looking forward to getting off of this camera, no longer talking about the Titans, trying to figure out what in the heck I'm going to write about this Titans team, and do so perched up in front of this wonderful screen array that's right in front of us. I'm looking forward to spending the rest of my day doing something a little bit more entertaining than the 2.5 hours that we were just subjected to by the Titans. Come do it here at the Land Shark Bar and Grill. They have great parking situation. They have affordable prices. They've got all-day deals on Miller Lite buckets and Traveler whiskey. JT, you know what? That Miller Lite bucket, if it's not calling my name today, by the end of this year, I'll be calling my name like the Green Goblin mask in the corner of this room.
Maybe on the show, too.
Yeah, I told Austin and JT, it's a little unprofessional of me, but if the season continues at this trajectory, by Thanksgiving, I will do one of these post-game shows with a drink in my hand. I will have no other choice. This team is sending me into a dark place. I'm sure it's sending you all into a dark place. Come to a place where you can lighten your spirits here at the Land Shark Bar and Grill. Join us. We already had one fan of the show come say hello today. Really appreciate Alton. Yeah, appreciate Alton coming over and saying hello. Great to see some folks out here, and we'd love to watch some football with you guys. All right, JT, I'll send you to the chat. What are the, I'm sure, really positive and uplifting words that people are throwing out there?
Yeah, we have some very interesting ones. I think King JP kicks us off by saying missing. This is a team that's just missing. If they did not show up, I feel like you would have gotten the same result today. Like, missing team, not there anymore. You have Jake saying unsavory, John saying destined, YouTube user saying flatulent, Swan saying embarrassing. Here's one that I really like. Evan James saying poison, which I think is an interesting one. Andrew saying defunct, abysmal, horrific. Some expletives that I will not be saying. Richie saying XFL. I'll let you come to your conclusion there.
I mean, yeah.
Jack
I'd
says,
like to see this team against an XFL team. Not to say that they'd be competitive, but it would be my only chance of seeing this team whip up on anybody all year long.
Jack says quitting. Eric says numb. Rick says heartbreak. Jamie says vile. Abysmal. Karma, which I think is an interesting one. I'd be
what great unspeakable evil did someone on this team commit to have deserved this?
Brian saying insanity, pitiful, soporific.
Soporific is a good word. It's a good word.
Joseph just saying booty, which are you looking up the definition of soporific?
So I can explain it well because it's one of those words that I know what it means in context. But tending to induce drowsiness or sleep. That checks out.
Austin says from his wonderful spot here at the Land Shark Bar and Grill, just watching all this football and watching along with us, says casualties. Very interesting one. Repugnant, varsity, unwatchable. Cam Ward says justice.
Justice is crazy.
Justice for Cam Ward potentially is where he's going. Diabolical, delusional, yawn, fire sale, disastrous. All along the same line of thinking. Easton, do you have a one word?
I do have a one word. My one word is bottomless. A little double entendre because this team makes me want to order something bottomless, but it also feels bottomless in the sense that no matter how far they fall, it can always get worse, apparently. I'm not sure where the bottom is for this team. Not even just this year, but really over the span of the last 3 years. And I think that's where a lot of the fatigue comes from, is that we are just drifting. I mean, to continue to strain our metaphor from the beginning of the show of this ship, not just having no oars, not just having no sail, not just actively sinking, but in fact sinking into a ocean trench so deep our bodies have been crushed by the weight of the water long ago, and yet we still have not found the bottom. We still are trying to reach the bottom of this trench that may, in fact, go on forever. I'm not sure when it will end. And I say all that jokingly, but in all seriousness, I'm kind of not joking, because I really don't. I am at a loss for where the bottom is, besides getting new players. That's like, you can get your new coach, you can let the young guys develop. All of those things will help. Like if Cam and the rookies all pan out, you kind of hit the jackpot on this young group. You get JC Latham back playing good. You get Devondre Sweat back playing good, right? Cedric Gray continues to develop into a starting linebacker and things. Even if you go, what is that, 8, 9, 10 guys, 10 for 10, an unbelievable, unrealistic parlay to hit, even then, I don't think it's enough to make this team good this year with how poorly the bad players are playing, or the good players are playing. And that's part of the frustration, is that even the good veterans on this team right now, save Jeffrey Simmons and save Peter Skoronski, for the most part, everyone but them is playing way down to their potential, right? Like we see L'Jarius Sneed getting torched today, a downright bad game for the starting cornerback who they need to play at least average, acceptable level ball. And I need to watch the tape today to know for sure, but from what we saw of him when he was targeted today, hard to think that the rest of his game that we didn't quite see, that we were dialed in on, would make up for the travesties that he allowed out there. Amani Hooker gets a big fat contract, and he, for 2 weeks now, has looked turned around and utterly lost in the backfield, a player that for the majority of his Titans career has been reliable and good and a leader back there. I don't know what's gotten into him. Xavier Woods is a heat-seeking missile who's very hit or miss, and when he misses, it's noticeable on the back end. Cody Barton not making nearly the impact on this team that we at one point had hoped he might make before the season began. Devondre Sweat, MIA. JC Latham, MIA. Dan Moore is exactly what you think he is. You need him to be your 5th best lineman on the team, and right now you're asking him to be your best tackle and like your 2nd best lineman on the team behind Skoronski, and he simply cannot and will not ever be able to be that guy. Calvin Ridley having a better day today on very, very limited targets. He caught 2 of 3 passes that came his way for 30 yards. So was it like a downright terrible game for him? No, because he didn't actively make mistakes, but he also didn't get the ball because the Titans' entire passing game was all of 108 yards. Cam Ward, an abysmal 10 for 26. I could go on and on naming players that are supposed to be good. Chika Conquo not making an impact today. Tyler Lockett targeted 4 times? 4 times, no catches on any of those 4 passes. Was furious that they continued to throw the ball in his direction. Nobody is stepping up for this team that is supposed to be a reliable veteran. And you are leaning on the young guys who, for the better part of this month of the season so far, have looked the best and have looked promising, but they're having to now press. And you've got Alec Ironmaner dropping some passes that you'd hope he'd catch. And he's probably getting more run out there than he really should at this point in his career to optimize his development. And it's just not good for anybody. Joey Sly falling apart. I could spend the rest of our show naming guys that are failing to step up for the Titans right now. And so I don't see the bottom. That's where all this started. Let me land this plane. I don't see the bottom for this team until they replace these guys that are supposed to be decent veterans, or they just magically get better. And I don't see how that happens anytime soon.
And here's the thing as well, right? For the most part, today was not a horrendous sack day. It was not a horrendous penalty day for the Titans. And so
is Cam Ward sacked 2 times?
Somewhere around there.
3 times?
I'm not exactly sure.
I'll find it.
The bottom line, right? This team is drowning.
2 for 15 yards. 2 sacks on Cam Ward.
this team is drowning. There's no air to be found. This is a team that
4 penalties against the Titans. 2 sacks and 4 penalties. We talked about that in the pregame. Hey, Magic Crystal Ball. 2 sacks and 4 penalties today. How's it going to go? Probably pretty competitive game, right?
Yes.
Pretty competitive out there.
And so there's just this team is drowning. No air. There's no life. There is no rope that's going to pull them out from underneath this water that they have. They're dead, basically. And outside of probably, like you said, I mean, give credit where credit's due. Jeffrey Simmons was one of the only guys who showed up today. Could he have had a better day if Devondre Sweat was healthy enough to be out there? If they had any of these guys being competent on the edge, you maybe even see a better day. But I think, once again, it's really hard for Jeffrey Simmons to carry the defensive line when you have Shy Tuttle out there next to him getting that pressure. And so that's my word, drowning. This team is very close to being all out of air out of its lungs and just floating to the bottom.
Yeah, but what is that? You know, maybe the question is, what does that really look like for them to reach the bottom? What happens? What's the thing that happens there? Let's kind of ponder on that, and we'll revisit this here in a minute. It's gotten so bad, JT, that some of our segments we have for these post-game shows that we're supposed to talk about, we're having to on the fly change to be able to rant because we can't. Like the next segment, let me peel the curtain back for you guys real quick. The next segment on the post-game show is supposed to be, what was the drive of the game that had the most impact on the final score of Titans-Texans? I don't know how we talk about that because it doesn't matter, right? Like, oh, the first drive, because Cam Ward should have had a 15-yard, hands to the neck and head area of the quarterback penalty, and maybe they would have scored there. Okay, but does anybody really care about that today? No, they don't. So let me tell you about our friends anyways at Botero Carts, who I'm afraid they're going to sponsor a segment they didn't quite sign up for because we're going to have to change the segment. But Botero Carts is a great place to go if you like to buy a golf cart. Life is short, so go buy a golf cart. 0% financing.
Increasingly shorter.
It is. It's shorter every day, in fact. That's how that works. 2 locations to serve you in Columbia, Tennessee, or in Gallatin, Tennessee. They are locally owned and operated. Full-service sales and rental dealership at Botero Carts. Open 7 days a week. Their carts start at $6,800. 0% financing for 36 months. No dealer fee, no credit card fees, no credit option needed. We really appreciate our friends at Botero Carts. And if you want to get a golf cart, which who doesn't want a golf cart, go do it with our friends at Botero Carts in Columbia or in Gallatin. All right.
King VC says, first of all, some super chats along that line. Lock in, like the show.
Thanks for sticking with us, King. Yep, like that show.
Appreciate you. Kick it to the King Productions. Also with the super chat saying 0-17. One word for him today is depressing, which I think is the very same sentiment as many, many Titans fans around Tennessee today. MBO.
Okay, so let's talk about what might happen this week and what it will mean. What does your gut say right now, JT, about if and when Brian Callahan and this staff are fired? Does it come this week?
Yes.
Is this do they roll him out for a press conference tomorrow at noon? Because the background here is that, of course, Amy Adams-Strunk historically handles firings on Tuesdays. So I would find it interesting to roll him out for a press conference on Monday and then fire him on an off day Tuesday. Not even an off day for the players, but we would all be at the facility about to speak to his coordinators. So I know the history says Tuesday, and I understand that Tuesday is probably better from a mindset standpoint because if you're going to make a decision that big, no matter what, it's probably a good rule of thumb to sleep on it, you know what I mean, and distance yourself a little bit from the actual game. But in this instance, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think the one saving grace here that maybe he is does not get fired this week is that you can look to some of the decisions that Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker made this offseason in terms of how they built this team, and maybe in the hopes of keeping this thing together and preaching patience to Amy, you say, look, a lot of what happened in this game on Sunday, the entire team, including both Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker, lying through their teeth on how confident they were in L'Jarius Sneed.
Well, which is it? Which is worse, them lying about it or them genuinely believing it?
I'm scared to know the answer to that one.
Okay.
You talk about them trying to be disciplined in terms of their approach to the edge rusher position, getting Draymond Jones in keeping Arden Key, taking a flyer on a guy like Femi Oladejo. Things that, this team just simply cannot have right now if they want to be a productive and competitive football team. Like, those are things that ultimately Brian Callahan could not control. And so then you look at the possible argument from there saying, hey, like, it can't all be on him. And I know that this is a team that is still a year away from competing, and we knew that and we preached that, and it's still the same. Like, maybe that's the one way, but I have a hard time believing that they're going to do that in order to save a guy's job like Brian Callahan. They're going to ultimately want to save face on their own jobs. And so Brian Callahan is the head that rolls.
Yeah, my gut tells me what I wrote in the article yesterday, which is I feel very strongly about them not firing him this week if there are no catastrophic management errors and if this team avoids getting blanked and embarrassed on offense or blown out. But they did get blanked and embarrassed on offense, and they did get blown out. And so as I wrote in the article, I said, anything's on the table if that were to happen, and it did happen. So my gut tells me that this is – I don't feel like it's if it's on a scale of 100%, 0% to 100%, I'm not certain it happens, but I feel like it's more likely to happen than not this week. And I certainly feel like if it's not this week, we're, not that this is news, but it feels like we're on that trajectory.
It would be hard to fire him in between the road trips going out west.
Yes. Yeah, no, I hear you. It's just so infuriating to me because their plan was sound. It was the wise thing to do, to value continuity over anything else, to value Cam Ward's continuity over everything else. And I don't know how I evaluate. I mean, you can't really evaluate without seeing, unfortunately. But history tells us that one of, if not the most harmful things that you can do to a young quarterback, a rookie quarterback, is to fire their coach and change the entire structure around them early on. And I'm going to talk about here in a second about Cam Ward's performance. I feel like he has regressed, not dramatically, but steadily, taking steps down this staircase of talent, of performance in each week. And I feel like it has only gotten worse since the Denver game. And is that a reflection of coaching? I don't know it's either a reflection of coaching or just that Cam is. I mean, here's the thing about rookies: they're going to be ups and downs. And so if there are ups and downs, I don't say, well, that's on the coaching. But if there's only downs, right? If it's only downs, and it's only 4 weeks, it's a small sample size, then at some point that becomes a coaching thing. What I don't know how to judge is what is more harmful. What's happening to him right now? What implied damage there's being done to him from this coaching staff because he's taking steps down each week, or what would happen if they pull that rug out from under him in, again, September of his rookie year. Yeah. It is beyond unbelievable that that's where they're at.
Situation. It really is. Because if you keep Callahan, the optics continue to look terrible for your team like they have. And then if you do fire him, the optics also look bad. And what does that do for your quarterback? What does that do for your quarterback if he continues to be the head coach? Like, this is a unwinnable situation that is only fixed by winning games. And this is a team that cannot. It doesn't have the talent to even compete with some of the worst teams in the league right now.
All right, let's get on to Cam Ward, who does deserve some blame for the way that today went. We're going to grade his performance, and we're going to add that to our running tally of C-minuses this year. So how do you grade Cam Ward's performance for the Titans at the Texans? We're going to send that question in the chat right now. Let us know your letter grade on Cam Ward while I tell you all about our friends at BTA Sports. We are brought to you each and every show that we do here on the A to Z YouTube channel by BTA Sports. Use code ATOZ, or even easier, it is so much easier to just use the link in the description below. You click that and it'll automatically, you click it, you sign up, and it lets you in for that 14-day free trial with our friends at BTA Sports and a season pass for just $99. That is a deal. Our A to Z September of deals is coming to a close, JT. So you got to get in now while supplies last. That will no longer be available after September. Use that link in the show description. They are a data-driven machine learning model company that delivers NFL picks, tools, and projections for serious fans and smart bettors. We appreciate the money that they have helped us win so far this year. Whether you're a casual fan or a betting junkie, BTA's tools break down the numbers so you can trust your gut, and your gut can be backed up by the data. It's like having a smart betting assistant in your pocket. Test out parlays, player props, and game lines to see how the risk stacks up before ever having to place your bet. Check them out. Use the link in the description below for BTA Sports. All right, JT, I will send you to the comments. What are the letter grades we are seeing for Cam Ward?
Yeah, well, spoiler alert, it's not going to be an average of C- this week, I don't think.
Right.
Shrike goes with F-, Andrew D-, King D-, Dre F, Johnny D, Connor C, Trude C-, Anthony Cook D, John D, D-, D-, D, D-, D-, F-, Tornado A, sure, Jeremy F, F+, F-, F, 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 F-, F, D-. I think you get the gist. I have not seen really any other grade other than F- or D. I don't know if, I mean, Malik says C-. He has no help. I don't even know if I would be able to.
I mean, it's true he doesn't have much help, but he's also not helping his help.
No, not at all.
So, JT, what grade do you give Cam Ward? Let me read out real quick. I should have done this before. Excuse me. Cam Ward's stat line from this game. If I can find this game. I was checking the scores of other games, and I was more interested in that than the Titans game. Cam Ward today, 10 of 26, 108 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, a 35.4 quarterback ranking. So with that, JT, what is your grade?
Yeah, he gets an F. This was his worst performance all season. I'm not ashamed to say this. It was abysmal football that he played. Still hanging on to the ball way too long. His footwork looked very bad. Once again, we can have this conversation about the Elikiah Manor one where he just absolutely bullets it in there to him. It goes off his hands. Cam Ward continues to throw the ball 2 to 3 yards outside of the where the receiver needs to catch that ball, or the catchable range. And once again, it's a athletic fact or testament to these guys that they're able to continue to get to that ball and even have the ability to make those types of plays. He has not looked good whatsoever. He looks still slow. He still does not seem to be able to get the ball out quick enough. He doesn't look like he sets his feet and gets ready to deliver that strike fast enough. It's just not been good for him. And he has not looked good now for 3 weeks. Denver was by far his best game. Ever since then, it has looked worse and worse. I continue to find myself just banging my head on the table hand on the table saying, throw the ball. He needs to get the ball out faster. He needs to make decisions faster. And even when he was making those decisions later in the game, he wasn't going through his progressions. There were a lot of throws where he would just step back, drop back 2 or 3 times, deliver a strike to a receiver who was being absolutely manhandled or covered. But whether it's Chigakonko or Elikiah Manor, wasn't even going through his reads at the end of the game. So it was just not a good game overall. This is his worst performance, and this has been the worst performance I've seen from him in a long time.
Let me refresh the folks on my grade scale. And my scale's, it's my scale. You don't have to buy by my scale. No one else has to buy by my scale. But the way that I look at it is, if you are in the A's grade, it is because you won your team the game. They won because of you. A B grade is not quite they won because of you, but you were still a tractor quarterback. You were pulling the team. The team was not pulling you. That's a B grade. That line of demarcation between tractor quarterback and trailer quarterback is between a B and a C. If you were a C grade, you played fine, but you were a trailer quarterback. You were not the reason the team won, but you weren't the reason the team lost. A D grade is you were a trailer quarterback, and you may not have been the reason that the team lost, but you were one of the reasons the team lost. You sure weren't helping. An F grade is reserved for games in which the quarterback himself loses the team the game, right? Like Will Levis did that in some games last year. So I can't give him an F because Cam did not lose them the game. But I should. Big Ryder Cup moment there for Justin Thomas as Team USA scratches and claws to potentially come back in the biggest upset of all time. But down goes Tommy
Cam
Fleetwood.
Ward.
Fairway Jesus, eat that. I can't give him an F, but I can give him a D-. I'm going to give him as close to a failing grade as I can give. So an F from you, a D- from me, 38.5% completion percentage, which is atrocious. Less than 5 yards per attempt, which is atrocious. Like you said, his footwork, his time to throw figures, not good. The way that he is helping or hurting his offensive linemen who are out there undermanned and doing their best, consistently putting them in some tricky spots, I feel like. And when it comes to the downfield passing, like I'm not here to. In prior weeks, we have kind of let Cam off the hook because his teammates aren't making a play for him, and his teammates still aren't making a play for him. Let's make that clear. No one out there is making a play, but the guy who's letting go of the ball isn't making a play either. He's putting them in he's too often putting them in a position to have to make a play, if that makes sense. There needs to be less moments like that.
That's you have 4 different receivers now with dropped balls, whether it was in the preseason with Van, going all the way back to Van Jefferson, and there has to be a common denominator at some point. And
you lead the league in drops.
Yes, there has to be a common denominator, no matter who is catching the ball.
Yeah, and it's not an all or nothing blame thing. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It is everyone to blame. It's a systematic failure thing. And there certainly have, and it's even not. There have been some Cam drops that are 100% not Cam's fault. Right? There have been a couple where it's been on the numbers, like you got to catch that ball, man. But there are some today, and in the past couple weeks, where it was a position where you'd hope that your NFL caliber receiver could make a play for you. But it's also fair to point out that the quarterback put them in a position in the first place to have to make a play. And so Cam just has to be better. Now, my frustration is not really with Cam yet, because again, it is only 4 games into his career. He is on a very, very bad football team. And so like his circumstances are, he is set up to have to either press and carry his team out of the gate or lose. And that's not a fair position to put a young quarterback in. I am far from panicking on Cam. I am far from deeply frustrated with Cam. Am I disappointed in some things that he's doing? Yes, but I'm not surprised. The Cam failure to perform so far, through 4 weeks, has much more to do with what is the impact of his surrounding and the coaching staff on that, and how can the team better set him up to trend in the right direction, right? The onus on his level of play through just 4 weeks for me is not yet on Cam Ward, if that makes sense.
I think that's fair. I totally understand, but still, you've seen the regression over 4 weeks.
I don't think it's been aggressive regression. I want to be clear.
It still is regression.
I feel like it has been a half step or a step down each week, which is not good, obviously. But when this is his worst game by far, and when you and I both agree, I'd be curious. I mean, I feel like the chat probably largely agrees that his best game felt like it was the Denver game. That's not good. So, yeah. Today's such a reductive day. I find myself coming to these broad conclusions where at the end I just go, this is bad.
It's bad.
Isn't no good.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say besides you have to see I guess improvement from him in some area. I don't really care which area it is. I don't care if it's the footwork. I don't care if it's him holding onto the ball, navigating the pocket, throwing the ball in a more catchable radius for his wide receivers. And notice I say a lot of wide receivers. I have not once called out Calvin Ridley today. I said receivers, plural. I'm not just saying that it's been Calvin Ridley. That Alec Manor one was not a catchable ball for Cam Ward today.
I'd love to have seen a better replay of it. I don't feel the same way as you. I feel the jury is still out, in my opinion. I'm respecting your opinion, but I'm mostly frustrated that we never saw anything close to an up-close replay of that ball. It wasn't on target. You're right that it wasn't a perfect on-target ball, but I just don't know how far off the frame it was. So let's keep this train moving, because we've got 3 more segments to get to here. We want to hear some more from you guys in the chat. I know that you guys want to vent. We've got a couple of super chats we're going to get to here from some viewers who have pushed their chips in. Let me tell you about where else you can push your chips in. It's at the Barrel Social Club, our newest sponsors here on the Game Day show. The countdown is on for the Kentucky Poker Open, returning to the Barrel Social Club this October. It's real poker, real players, the Barrel Social Club, Kentucky and Tennessee's poker destination. Check them out, just 45 minutes north of Nashville, 15 minutes south of Bowling Green. The Kentucky Poker Open Tournament Series runs between October 2nd and October 12th. So we're coming right up on it here. Features 12 poker tournaments with over $100,000 in guaranteed prize pools. The buy-ins range from $250 to $600, and cash games will run every single day, and resets happen every single day as well. So check them out, just north of town. Whether you're a novice or an experienced poker player, join the Kentucky Poker Open up there at the Barrel Social Club. And let's get to some super chats here from some listeners of the show who have pushed their chips in. First from TLG, a talent deficiency and a lack of coaching equals 0 wins. To him, this is easy. Basically summed it up. Bad team does bad things, right?
Yes. I mean, I can't agree more than that.
Well put, TLG. Next from Kick to the King Productions, 0-17. His one word today is depressing. Absolutely. But what week recently for the Titans could you not say that the one word was depressing? Another from TLG, Brian Callahan is the new Brandon Staley. He's done for. Wow. He doesn't belong. Square peg, round hole, better suited as a behind-the-scenes guy. JT, what do you say to that?
I mean, at this point, it's kind of fair. I mean, I don't know. Here's the thing, though, right?
Brian Callahan's players haven't given up on him in a 63-0 blanking yet. So
this is true.
The Brandon Staley bar to me is quite high because it involves your players fully and actively giving up on you in prime time against a division opponent. I think for the most part, Brian Callahan's players haven't given up on him. They just stink. Now, that might be partly Brian Callahan's fault that they stink, but they've not given up on him mentally. If he sticks around, could that unravel quickly?
Potentially.
Sure could. Let's see what else. From True Jones, JT is trying to put it on Cam for these drops. No, we're trying to make it clear that Cam is not helping, which is ridiculous. I don't think that it is. Getting paid millions to not make good catch or to drop a pass. Again, I think True Jones, we appreciate the super chat. You are missing the point that Cam Ward had his worst day today and has been a bigger story, in our opinions, in some of these drop issues than he's been made out to be.
Yeah, I think so as well. And then True Jones, one more. Bad line, bad coaching is ruining Cam each week. Well, I want to say, look at the sacks today. How many sacks?
I want to see the pressures number.
I do want to see the pressures.
Anecdotally, he felt cleaner today, and he felt like he was holding on to the ball too long when he did get under pressure. So, just a tough one. I'm struggling for things to say.
Should we go back to our X Factors?
Yeah, sure. So let's talk about our X Golf X Factors. Let me tell you about our friends at X Golf. Now with 4 locations in Nashville, in Murfreesboro, in Hermitage, and now open in Franklin, the home of indoor golf in Middle Tennessee. X Golf, play, train, entertain. PlayXGolf.com. They've reinvented the player experience by creating the most accurate indoor golf simulators on the market today, giving every person the power to take on the world's top courses, compete in a wide variety of game formats, and improve their swing with lessons and superior analytics, all while being totally entertained. So check them out. X Golf Nashville, Murfreesboro, Hermitage, and now open in Franklin. No excuse not to get one because there are 4 locations spread out in the Middle Tennessee area. JT, remind the viewers what your pregame X Factor was and how the Titans, I'm sure, managed to fail in accomplishing it.
Well, my X Factor was Jeffrey Simmons.
Oh, wait. Oh, excuse me.
So,
excuse
ching on that one.
You found like the one thing that you could.
Yeah, I did also note the fact that the rest of the defensive line needed to step up in terms of Arden Key, Draymond Jones. Listen, I said they needed to have at least 3 sacks today for me to feel better. They did, and I still don't feel better. Like the way that they were getting these sacks, there still was hardly any pressure off the side. The one that where Arden Key and Draymond Jones both collapsed onto CJ Stroud and were able to get him was after 6 or 7 seconds in the pocket.
That was a power of friendship sack right there.
It really was. But Jeffrey Simmons, I think, was that X factor, made an impact. The rest of the defensive line still was not able to. So
my X factor was staying on script and running the ball well, which I can't believe I'm saying it. They did half of. They didn't stay on script. But they did run the ball well, and this is what continues to irk me about this Titans team now in the second half when the dam burst for the defense, which we've kind of buried the lead on the defense, the fact that the Titans were outpossessed so dramatically in this game. Let me pull up the final time of possession. The Texans had the ball.
At least for more than 20 minutes over the Titans.
I was about to say, here we go. Yeah, almost a full 20 minutes. The Texans had the ball for 38 minutes and 21 seconds of the game. The Titans for 21 minutes and 39 seconds of the game. entering the fourth quarter, the math was the Titans could run a one-drive sequence, take up all 15 minutes of the fourth quarter, and still have been outpossessed in the game. Absolutely crushing for the defense to be out there that long. Part of the reason why you knew the dam was going to burst when it did. And so by the time they were down 2 scores, 3 scores, 4 scores, you knew that they couldn't run the ball anymore. They had to try to get on their horse and pass. But when they were in phase, in the game still, for the better part of 3 quarters, Tony Pollard, 14 attempts, 64 yards, 4.6 yards on average, averaging north of 4.5 yards per clip, is a place that you can live very comfortably in the NFL, and a place where you can keep your team on schedule very comfortably in the NFL. And the fact that this team simply refused, it's one of the number one questions I have for Callahan or whoever the heck is coaching this team this week, is why the insistence on not establishing the run early and sticking with it and going back to the well often. Because I know it's simplistic, maybe I'm a moron and don't quite understand what's going on here, but to me it seems very easy to want to continue to run the ball when it is working. I'm not saying run into brick walls over and over, but I am saying that this is working. It has been working for a couple weeks in a row now. Why are you not going back to it? So congrats on running the ball well when you did, but only handing the ball off 14 times to your lead back is not nearly enough.
And maybe this helps. Maybe the secret ingredient is Tyjae Spears, but who knows? At this point, I think you have to look at it and you have to say at this point, is there anything that this team can really do if they do not have their entire offensive line together and coherence? I don't know. And so that is going to be the biggest factor going forward in terms of the run game. Now, once again, like we said, the play calling is not the same. All of that, those different things are outside of what happened today, but it does need to change, absolutely. So my X Factor, Jeffrey Simmons, kind of hit. I feel like that's a half of a hit for the X Factor. Yours, Tony Pollard, can you give yourself half? I'm not sure, but either way.
I don't want it. You can take it back. I'm gonna go with my half. All right, one more thing to get to here before we are done with the post-game show, and that is diving into our analytical view of the Titans-Texans game. So, JT, if you want to go hunting for something statistically relevant to point out as we wrap this show up, got to tell you about our friends at Lipscomb University Sports Analytics. They are revolutionizing the game for people looking to start their career in the sports world, where data meets the game. Analyze, strategize, revolutionize, and turn your passion into a profession. Going beyond the box score with game-changing insights and career-defining skills. Get off the sideline and into the action with Lipscomb Sports Analytics program, where you'll learn to make the calls that count. It's turning sports fans into data-driven decision makers in the exciting world of professional athletics. At Lipscomb, they're not just watching the game, they're changing how it's played through their innovative sports analytics program. So check them out at Lipscomb Sports Analytics if you want a future in sports. It's a great way to do it right here in the heart of Nashville. JT, what sticks out to you from a data standpoint with this game?
It's the same thing that we've seen over the past 3 weeks, right? I think we talked about earlier in the show how during the pregame show, how the Titans are averaging 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8 around there. It's like 3rd and 7 point something in terms of the average. You look at continuously how many yards they are getting on every play. The Titans continue to only gain 3.8 yards per play, which you would have hoped it would have been different under Bo Hardigree. It was not. And so another telltale sign that maybe it was not, in fact, the play calling that needed to change. Now, maybe that's going to continue to get better with Cam and his stability and whatnot. However, didn't see that immediate bump that maybe a lot of people were hoping for.
Yeah, my analysis from an analytical standpoint comes to us courtesy of NFL Pro and Next Gen Stats. Looking at Cam Ward and his success today with and without pressure. He was pressured 14 times and sacked twice, faced pressure on 46.7% of the dropbacks against the Texans, a season-high rate for the Texans, and a second most pressures allowed on Ward in his NFL career so far. Now, the Texans generated pressure on 37.5% of dropbacks when sending 4 or fewer rushers, the highest pressure rate for the team this season. Under pressure, Cam completed only 30% of his passes for 66 yards. Without pressure, he fared only marginally better, completing 43.8% of his attempts for 42 yards. So kind of a different way of looking at the fact that under pressure or with protection, Cam Ward did not look sharp today. Was not nearly good enough to buoy this team, to move the offense. And I am curious on all those pressures that they allowed, all 14 of those pressures, to see later this week how many of them were with him holding the ball 3, 4, 5 seconds long.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one in terms of, like, once again, everything I said today about Cam Ward, I get it. It's 4 games, need to dive into the tape. But from a gut reaction, you take everything into account. The lack thereof sacks today, the less sacks, still just didn't see that bump that you were hoping to see from him. And I think that goes into the coaching staff, and this continuing regression of Cam Ward is not great. So.
Yep. All right, that's going to do it for us. I'm ready to be done talking, certainly about the Titans for now. We will be back on the A to Z YouTube channel with Primetime. Buck Rising will be hosting Primetime here in a couple of hours. I'm sure that'll be
fun.
Something. We'll be back on the morning show. Austin and Zach will be getting you with a Monday morning reaction tomorrow, perhaps reaction to some news. We will see how and if that goes. Try to enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Appreciate our sponsors: X Golf Nashville, Murfreesboro, Hermitage, and Franklin, BTA Sports, Botero Carts, Lipscomb Sports Analytics Program, and the Barrel Social Club. Thank you to the Landshark Bar and Grill for having us. Come hang out for the late games. We'll be here. That bucket might be calling our name. We'll discuss that here shortly.
Well, yeah. The New York Mets are currently blowing their chance in the playoffs, so that bucket's
really calling your name.
Coming.
All right, well, we got important things to get to then. We will talk to you later this week with a lot more Titans coverage on all of our channels on the A to Z Sports YouTube channel, where you should like and subscribe on your way out. And, of course, on A to Z Sports.com. For JT, I'm Easton. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.